Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It is April 6th, and we are going to do our first analysis, well, I guess second of the second quarter of 2025. Last week, markets went crazy. Analysis played out very well. And yeah, so we'll take a look at all that. Just real quick, remember, this is not financial advice. I cannot be held responsible for any trade you may or may not take. I am simply sharing how I structure the markets going into the week, how I look at them, and how I personally set up. So this is not financial or trading advice. Um, but yeah, all right. So I'm just gonna pray real quick. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much. We come to you so grateful with praise and adoration for all the things that you do for us, Father. Father, I thank you for this channel um, that you gave me the vision for, Father, this Discord server, Father, where people can come together who are like-minded in building your kingdom and seeking your kingdom first, and who also want to trade, Father. I thank you so much for just creating the vision to have somewhere where we can come together and find community with each other and help build together, help give each other advice, help give each other, um, just the things that we find and learn, we can all come together as a group and just compound over time, just like we do in these markets every week. Father, I ask that you would bless this trading analysis, Father, as I go into the markets, looking at the markets this week, Father. I pray that you would give me the eyes to see and the wisdom and the discretion and the understanding to be able to see potential moves that may play out this week, Father. Um, and also be able to tie that into the fundamental news, the things that are going on, the events that are going on around this time, Father. Father, again, I just thank you and I bless anybody who is watching this analysis, Father. I just bless them, Father. I'm so grateful that they may be seeking you. They're seeking your kingdom first, Father. And I just pray blessings and love over them, Father, that you would prosper them, that you would lead them, that you would call them, and that you would convict them where they need it in their life, Father, that you would bring them to that next level and that they would hear your voice in everything that they do and in the paths that you lead them, Father, because you are the ultimate leader and you will lead us all to success and prosperity as you have promised us, Father. Again, I thank you so much. I bless your name, Father, the name that is above every other name, everlasting to everlasting, Father. And these things I pray in Yeshua's name. Amen. All right. Okay. Yeah, before we get into it, if you watch these analysis and just know that there is a Discord server. Every week I post a link if you want to be on these live. Um, but yeah, it's a small group nonetheless, but all God-fearing people, people that want to find success in Forex and they see the value in it and also have a heart for the Father. Um, yeah, come join us. It's free. There's no charge here. But yeah. Okay, so first we're gonna go back and look at what happened last week. I honestly didn't really pay attention to the dollar too much. I think it sold off, I want to say. So the dollar first and foremost. Yeah. So the dollar's been weakening ever since Trump got in. Well, ever since, yeah, pretty much ever since Trump got in. The dollar has been weakening. Hey Rob, welcome. And we kind of had like this big sell off right here, and I wanted to see it go up and retrace that sell off before selling again. But on April 2nd, Trump announced more tariffs. So the market, I mean, every time we get any talk about tariffs, the market just gets weaker and weaker. So we saw that again last week. So I think our second scenario played out. I want to say it was in the 4 hour. I saw this pool of liquidity right here that we had marked last week. Um, so yeah, so we were kind of deciding like when price came down here is either going to be a sweep on this liquidity to go up further, or it was going to be a market structure shift to where it would just retrace and keep selling off. So it turned out to be a market structure retracement. I was looking for this liquidity to be swept and this order block to be tapped into right here before the sell, but we didn't quite make it that high. Before we just broke structure to the downside and started to sell off on Wednesday. So our option two played out, which price opens slightly lower than sweeps internal equal highs, which it didn't, but it still retraced a bit. And then it pivots to the downside for the week. And that was this scenario right here. So all in all, played out well. We did get a huge rejection though at the end of the week. Right here. So we retraced all the way back up on Friday and Thursday as usually expected, but um so pretty much we've got this structure going at the moment. So we're definitely an established downtrend at this point. So price is going to continue down. We're just going to assume it's going to follow structure, um, unless it breaks this point. But as of right now, we are respecting structure. So I'm going to say, let's look at our weekly candle. And a lot of people could consider this an order block too. This engulfing candle right here. Um, so if we did do that, we could just throw a Fibonacci on it. And it's already up here in 50%. So let's go back down to the daily. Look at the full number real quick. There's a gap in price right here. And this is also an order block. So I'm just going to throw a box around this area right here, our optimal trade entry zone, which is going to be the 70% to the 80%. We have our 78 right in the middle. So that 78% runs right through this order block right here. The gap that I mentioned also is included in that optimal trade entry zone. So this is going to be point of interest for me this week right here. So let me get rid of this Fibonacci. It appears that there's a small wick on this 4 hour candle right here, but this body of this order block has not been tapped into yet. So I kind of would like to see maybe like an open higher to sweep Friday's high and then a sell into this order block. And then this is going to be like Monday price action right here, back into this POI. And then we pivot again back towards the downside. So a variation of that scenario that I see is because we didn't sweep that liquidity that I saw last week. Um, 4 hour. We just kind of respected that previous high right here and made a lower high. This is still coming in as trendline liquidity. So, I mean, a variation of that could be the price could go even all the way up to here to sweep. And then we would get a rejection Tuesday, Wednesday-ish, and then back to the downside. But I'm gonna leave this right in our POI for now. And then I'll just leave this liquidity marked up because it's good to always have options. Real quickly, since we are beginning a new quarter, I'm just going to go back up to last quarter's candle. And so we ended selling into this order block right here. And so one thing we talked about last week was that this is a bullish order block, so it may cause a bullish reaction. So the fact that we sold so much first, if you look at it in terms of a power of 3 mindset, you could say, okay, it's going down before it goes up. So then it can go down like later in the future and more in further into the second quarter of the year. So we'll just keep that in the back of our mind too, because I know that on the weekly, there's still, and even the monthly right here, there's still a lot of imbalance to come and fill on this larger candle. That would be really healthy for price action because again, if we're going down long term, the institutions are going to want to sell, at the highest price possible. So they might be shaking people out of the market and doing a fake out to the downside first. Mind you, we also talked about this order block right here that was not mitigated yet. This is the closing of last month's candle, which was the last month of the quarter. So we sold right into this order block. Okay, so we might be coming right back up into the areas that were not mitigated. So like I said, just dropping down, we do have a well-established downtrend right now with that structure that I highlighted at the beginning. So we're going to respect the structure for now, but keep in mind the higher time frame objectives that I just mentioned. So if we get a break of this high right here, which I'll send an alert right here, but if we get a break of this high, then we're going to start considering the fact that it might be getting that buy off that 3-month bullish order block to retrace this big candle right here that also appears on the monthly. And we just sold first to fake to the downside, tap into that monthly order block to use as a trampoline back up. So just keep that scenario in mind because those are higher time frame plays. But again, we're going to respect this downtrend for right now. So but yeah, that's kind of what we talked about last week. So we wanted to kind of see how the market's going to play out at the beginning of this quarter to kind of establish our order flow. So yeah, so that is pretty much what I see for a continuation scenario. On this side down here, this is the daily. There is more imbalance to fill right here. So I'm also going to go ahead and mark that. So we have this imbalance right here, and then we have this bearish order block. So I'm just going to put all of that in the box, and that will be our sell side point of interest right there. Mind you, these are relative equal lows as well. So there is also liquidity right here. Okay. So if we do get this scenario to play out, then this area is going to be our next point of interest, our next objective. to meet on the sell side. Or what could happen, since we are tapping into that monthly order block and pretty much gave it what looks like a strong rejection already, we could have this kind of happen in the opposite. So we could open lower into this order block. Let me redo that. Rethink that scenario. Okay, so we could open higher first, right? Come into this order block right here. And then we could sell first. Okay. This is our Monday, Tuesday right here. Monday, Tuesday, or Tuesday, Wednesday. And then we pivot back to the upside. So kind of the same thing. It just happens backwards. So again, we're just have to, I always like mostly watch on Sundays, like Sunday and Monday. But I could also see us opening higher first, tapping into this POI, finishing that retracement from that started last week, and then selling first in the first part of the week to take these lower objectives down to the left here, and also taking the high or the low from last week, and then we would pivot, so Tuesday, Wednesday-ish, and move back to the upside, because again, we are weakening, the dollar is weakening, but it does have objectives up here. So maybe it doesn't come up this high, who knows? Maybe it just comes to retest again and you know, make a lower high, but we shall see. And then there's a scenario where we could just like price just like nuts, like it did last week. CPI. Okay. Got some decently volatile news coming up this week. Oh yeah, and I didn't even see this on the weekly. This order block right here, which our box is already perfectly around it. Yeah, we haven't hit this yet, so this is definitely going to be a hot spot. So we just need to wait and see which one gets hit first. Is it going to be this one, top, or is it going to be bottom? That will give it away for sure. I think the news was it was like international tariffs. All right, so the NASDAQ, they sold off like crazy. Our analysis did really well. So if anybody caught that, the sales on the index, congratulations. Yeah, we had a bullish order block right here. So we were expecting it to sell. Let's see. This is also a different chart. Yeah, so we retraced. We didn't get as high as I would have liked it, but nonetheless, we did get a good retracement before completely tanking to the downside. Um, because we had this order block right here. So pretty much we just threw Fibonacci on this candle. But no, analysis played out really well because we didn't have a wick last week right there. So we opened with a gap to the downside. Right here. No, where was it? Right here. Yeah. So yeah, we opened with a gap and then we turned around, we retraced back up for the week. And then we rode to the downside and just sold for the rest of the week. All the way through Friday. We didn't really get a retracement like we did on um the dollar. So pretty much at this point, the NASDAQ is hurting most because if you look, we are now at a 22% drop. So simply put, when you hit 20%, that's a bear market. Um, yeah. So a bear market is generally defined as a period when stock prices have fallen at least 20% from their recent high, um, marking a significant downturn in the market. Okay, so yeah, okay, so here's the difference right here. So while a market correction is a drop of more than 10%, but less than 20%, a bear market indicates a more substantial and prolonged downturn when it's more than 20%. So we definitely have passed that point. If we can just take a look at the futures chart as well, we're at, yeah, 22%. So, I mean, that's a pretty big deal. Um, a lot of stuff is happening with tariffs and the supply and demand and all of that stuff. So how long it's going to keep falling, I don't know. But I would say it's safe to consider that it's going to continue to drop potentially for some time. So if we look back in November of 2021, and then even, where's 2020? Here's our 2020 drop. So if we just measure this drop right here, that's a 31% drop right there. And that happened in 2020, COVID. Okay. And then this is 2021. This is a 37% drop. Okay. So from the looks of this candle, and like we made a macro high already, and like we've been going up for so long, guys. But From the looks of this candle, there's so much volume in here. It does not look like we're slowing down anytime soon. Um, so the one thing that I do want to highlight, and this is all in the weekly, is like we have a lot of trendline liquidity here. Okay. So I'm just going to keep it simple and mark the lows and the highs of the uptrend that we were currently in. Okay. So obviously we're coming down. Obviously we've passed the point of where, we're considering like, okay, this is more than just a quick correction, like something that happened right here. This price action is definitely seeking some form of liquidity, some form of discounted price. So it's our job to figure out, like, it's not a question of if it's going to go back up, because it will. It's a question of when. So just looking in the past, like, this was a prolonged downturn. So this is November 2021 all the way to 2023. We were in a down market. I remember trading through this too. Um, and if we look here, we already have some structure created here. So we have, this is our high, low, high, low, high, low. So just keep it simple, guys, pretty much. The first objective on this sell side, if I can move this out of the way a little bit, is we have not grabbed any liquidity on this overall uptrend. And the reason I say that is because we have not even broken the first low. And the first low, some people would consider breaking below the candle of that, the body of this candle, as a break of structure, but I don't. So this is our first like point that I'm expecting price to hit, and I would like to see it hit, because that would then actually break this downtrend too and solidify this even more. So we should be getting a whole bunch of news that's coming out to like what companies are coming back, where they are, where they're signing contracts, um, and all of that stuff. Don't forget that NVIDIA and I think it's OpenAI maybe, um, they've got government contracts as well. So when that stuff gets rolling, that is going to really be good for stock prices and their companies, and they are definitely some of the leaders on the NASDAQ. But as far as this week's price action, so as far as this week's price action, obviously a healthy price action would be to retrace the sell-off, okay, before anything happens. This is going to be our highest point of where price can go without breaking its downtrend that it's making, which that's pretty far away. So this is the closest objective. So I'm going to say, let's go to the daily. I'm going to want to see price open lower first into taking this low. I mean, it's just so close, taking these equal lows right here and solidifying this downtrend by breaking the uptrend. Because remember, we're still in an uptrend right now. Like price action's still bullish long term until this low gets broken. So that's what I would like to see happen first, is this price action immediately goes here and seeks to break that low. and sweep this liquidity. And then hopefully we could get some form of retracement. I'm going to be modest on that. Okay. And then if it still wants to sell off, depending on the volatile news this week, maybe it can. If we get like really good news this week, um, as in like CPI's down, because I think it was down. Actual, yeah. So we had good CPI last month. So we had another month of good CPI. Then that could be potentially bullish news for the NASDAQ because Trump's already trying to push the Fed to lower rates faster. Um, they do plan to lower rates this year, but they don't want to do it as fast. I know there's a lot of pressures like commercial real estate, their loans are all being like basically their contracts are up where a lot of them during COVID time locked in really low rates, but they're rolling over now to where they're going to be readjusted to the current rate. So there's like a lot of stuff that could potentially cause them to want to lower faster. And so if we get news that supports that um, motion, then I would think that that's going to push the price up. But that's, that's just wishful thinking on my part. So another scenario I could see among negative news is obviously we take this low again and we go up and we just start to trend higher. Because again, guys, we have so much room. There is imbalance right here too. Okay. We just like trend higher for the week. Like this could just be a whole entire week of retracement and kind of just like slowing down, taking a breath. Um, there's new negotiations that come out and we're just like retracing this candle in kind of like an upward consolidation. Um, a variation of that would be, we get that, but then price pivots again and we turn back to the downside. So these two are pretty much the same. But this scenario here is just like an upward consolidation. So, but yeah, as far as right now, we're now in a downward trading range. So that's our top of our range, and this is the bottom of our range right here. So this is where we'll see price action moving. If it wants to come up, then we know it's getting ready to sell again. But we're like literally at the low. So I'm not looking to like sell low, you know what I mean? Um, let's look at the 2 week real quick. Yeah, so for me, this is going to be like a buying point of interest. And anybody who takes a buy right here, I would just be very protective of your position because if we're going to keep selling off like this, you know, watch out. I've been burned a lot of times. Oops. Like this is where people are whipping out all of their, what do you call it, VMAs, their indicators. Um, oops, not that one. Oh yeah, relative strength index. We're at the bottom right here. I have not looked at this indicator in so long. Oh my gosh. I forgot this thing even existed. Yeah, we're below the line right here. Yeah, that's the goal. So yeah, so potentially like last week, just going back to last week's analysis, when we had that, here that goes, those blue lines. I still cannot get them off my chart. So there's no gap on this chart really from opening. There's is a slight one. You can see it better on the Forex chart, but right here. So like it opened with a gap and then it took the liquidity of last week and probably something over here to the left, which we talked about, because it was oversold, and then it would have been a really good buy to buy price up here. So I'll definitely be looking for that this week because again, we have liquidity to the left. Um, and price is for surely in an oversold position. But that was not the indicator I was looking for. But that's crazy. I have not looked at that in a long time. Yeah, we're like really oversold. Okay, wrong indicator though. Hmm. I guess I don't have it anymore. Let me get this off. Finish. Finish. Okay. Moving on to US 30. We also gave a good retracement. And we literally tapped, wait, this was last week. Yeah, so we also gave a good retracement on the Forex chart. This was showing as an order block. So that's kind of what we did the analysis as. But it opened, it retraced all the way up to the 78% perfectly, as you can see right there, and it just sold off. I mean, honestly, somebody literally could have just set a limit right here at the 78%, the high being, you know, the stop loss, and they could have just set a trade like that. Um, but yeah, it tapped it perfectly and it just sold off, which that was our analysis last week. So that did very well. Looking on the futures chart, it looks slightly different, but we still had that retracement all the way at the top, and then it just sold off. We sold even deeper past our sell side objective, which was this imbalance here and this order block right here that had yet to be mitigated. So we just ended up selling straight through that. So I mean, this was a really good opportunity last week. Again, that high being your stop loss, the 78% being your sell limit, and you could have set your take profit at the low because you know it's going to make a new low, or you could have set it at what our sell side objective was, which was this imbalance right here. So that was a very, very good opportunity last week. So we'll go ahead and get rid of that. We'll get rid of this. And as far as the NASDAQ goes with its sell-off, we are not at 20%. We are at about 16. So we are a lot further away from a bull market, or excuse me, a bear market on this one, on this guy. And just go like this. Let's mark our trend. High, low, high, low. Let's leave it right there. Okay, so that's our trend. So we've definitely, like, we may not have hit 20% on the Dow Jones, but we have for surely broken this uptrend. And we broke it a while ago. So this swing low right here, that's our breakup structure. Or you could call it a market structure shift, whatever you want to call it. So we broke it with this candle right here. We came back up to fill the imbalance. Right here. And this happened not last week, but the week before. I don't think we quite tapped into that order block, but that's irrelevant. Tapped in here, and then we've just sold off. So that being said, this we don't have the 20% marker on this chart, but we do have structure on the side of bearishness for this chart. Because while I said the other NASDAQ chart is still bullish because we have not broken the swing low, this one is definitely far gone. So where's my, okay. Oh, maybe this is our high. Okay, well, either way, we still broke it. The swing low right here and it retraced. and then we sold off. So now this is what we are working with here. Okay, so just to make it simple, get rid of this. Just when in doubt, mark your highs and lows. We are currently below this low, and we are in alignment with that low. So we have relative equal lows right here with this low. Okay. So same thing, we've got liquidity here and it's matching up here. It's not been taken yet. There is this low, which is probably an order block on some time frame, some lower time frame. Yeah, did I say? It looks like it's been tapped into, but this whole thing right here is probably an order block. Oh, there we go. Found it. All right, yeah, so 12-hour order block right there. Okay, so I'm gonna mark that. I'm just gonna like include all the lows right here, just so I know where my swing low is at as well. I'm gonna mark this as my buying QI. So once you understand how fractal the market is, you don't like you just know something's there without even seeing it. Okay. So again, this is familiar to the NASDAQ analysis that we just did. So we have relative equal lows right here. We have an unmitigated 12-hour order block right here. Can price go lower? Absolutely. But we're just going to focus on what's closest to us next. Again, we are in a bearish trading range. This is the high of our trading range, and this is our current low. So we're going to be trading somewhere in between this range right here, okay? Price is extremely oversold. It has a lot of imbalance on the upside. We want to assume price action is going to be healthy. One thing I will say though, when we get like these markets like this is it depends like if it's going to be a market like 2021 through 2023 where it's going to be selling off for like 3 2 3 years, price is going to act a lot more healthy. But if we're just going to get a sell off like we did in 2021 where it goes right back up, price is not going to retrace and be healthy because it knows it's going to mitigate all of those imbalances on the way back up. So there's definitely still some guesswork here in to do. But if you can manage your positions correctly, that's all that really matters. So I see very similar to our NASDAQ analysis is price opens, takes last week's low, takes this objective right here, and then we get a retracement either to pivot pretty quickly or we take the low, turn around, and then we just get like some form of consolidation either here or just like towards the upside slowly but surely. Um, or we get open lower. Price wants to trend higher to retrace a little bit. Um, so like this would be our Tuesday, Wednesday, and then it sells. So the only difference between this scenario and this scenario is that this would be like Monday, Tuesday, and then we would just get price selling off either from Tuesday to Wednesday, and then it kind of just does its thing for the rest of the week, or we get a retracement. So that's the difference between this scenario and this scenario. Yeah. All right, that's pretty much what I see for the week. Yeah, just watch out for news. Watch out for news. Watch out for everything that's going on. Any type of tariff announcement that's coming out um, should be pushing the dollar down. But USD CAD, we did get that sell finally that we've been talking about. Pretty similar to the dollar. We got a heavy retracement, but we did get that sell nonetheless. And it should keep going down from here. As you can see now, we have a double top. So, but yeah. All right. I hope everybody has a blessed trading week. I will see you back here for next week's analysis.